Hello, I'm a Spinning Grey Cube, and today I'd like to do a response video. This is to a gentleman called Thoughty2 with his video, The Truth, Why Modern Music is Awful.
On the 6th of December 1966, four guys from Liverpool stepped into Abbey Road Studios.
They recorded Sgt. Pepper's, apparently it was good, whatever.
Fast forward 44 years to 2010, and Justin Bieber released his hit single, Baby. So what went wrong?
So I was going to call this video, The Truth About the Truth, Why Modern Music is Awful. But the truth is that the truth about the truth about the truth why modern music is awful is that it's really just my opinion. So it might be better to call it simply just some bloke's opinion about the truth why modern music is awful. Having said that, the truth about the truth why modern music is awful is that is also just some bloke's opinion. So this is just really some bloke's opinion about some bloke's opinion why modern music is awful, in my opinion. Now, what's your point?
How did we go from Bob Dylan to Britney Spears?
Britney has been around for 25 years, mate. I think you may be showing your age.
From Led Zeppelin to Lady Gaga?
Well, I don't think that's really fair. Maybe Led Zeppelin to Radiohead might be more appropriate. Although Radiohead have been around for 25 years as well, so I guess I'm showing my age now.
The Kinks to Katy Perry?
Oh, right, I see what you're doing here. You're doing alliteration. Well, maybe more appropriate would have been Kate Bush to Katy Perry. Why didn't you say Kate Bush? Oh, wait a moment. Katy Perry, Lady Gaga and Britney Spears, what do they have in common? Do you not like women very much? Well, I mean, at least it's not black people you're picking on.
Personally, my musical tastes are stuck in the middle of last century. But you may think that just makes me old-fashioned, stuck in the past, and I should probably move with the times.
No, I wouldn't say that myself. I think you should listen to whatever the hell you like. But I would say, in the words of Bob Dylan, don't criticise what you don't understand.
And when your parents keep telling you that the music died long ago, they may actually have a point. Because it turns out that science agrees with them.
Science, folks. Here we go. Here's the science.
And a recent study in 2012 by the Spanish National Research Council revealed that the suspicions of somewhat antiquated individuals, such as myself, are very true. Music is getting worse every year.
Okay, so music is getting worse every year. That's a pretty straightforward claim. I'm guessing that if I just Google the report in question, I'll be able to find where it says that. It's odd because that does sound like very scientific language, but I don't seem to be able to find it in this study. Let me get back to you.
The researchers took around 500,000 recordings from all genres of music from the period of 1955 to 2010, and they meticulously ran every single song through a set of complex algorithms. These algorithms measured three distinct metrics of each song: the harmonic complexity, the timbral diversity, and loudness. The most shocking result that the researchers found was that over the past few decades, timbre in songs has dropped drastically.
Sorry, what was that?
Timbre is the texture, colour, and the quality of the sound.
No, I know what the word means, it's just the recording makes it sound like you mispronounced it the first time you recorded it, and then dubbed it over with the correct pronunciation in post-production.
The most shocking result that the researchers found.
The most shocking result was apparently something concerned with a subject you know so little about, you couldn't even pronounce the word until the day after you recorded the video. Don't criticise what you don't understand.
The researchers found that timbral variety,
timbral,
peaked in the 1960s and has since been steadily declining. The timbral palette has been homogenized.
So this neatly loops back to the start of the video when we mentioned Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band being recorded in 1966. What Mr. 2 doesn't mention here is that actually the study suggests that timbral diversity peaked in 1965, the year before Sgt. Pepper's was actually recorded. If anything, it suggests that Sgt. Pepper's was the beginning of the end. It was the album that ruined everything. This is just a subtle piece of cherry picking, the one piece of data from the study that agrees with Mr. 2's preconceived notion that Sgt. Pepper's is the best album ever. Because if you go back and you look at, there were two other measures he mentioned earlier. They were harmonic complexity and loudness. And both of those measures actually suggest that music was better in the 50s. Now, what we're going to talk about next is
what is widely considered to be the Beatles' masterpiece, A Day in the Life, which was recorded using an orchestra of 40 musicians, violins, violas, cellos, double bass, harp, clarinets,
kazoos, triangle, whoopee cushion, pink,
oboe.
What the Beatles actually did with this mini orchestra was simply to say to them, can you make a noise that's 20 seconds long in which you go from the lowest note your instrument can play to the highest one? Fair dinkum here, that does make a pretty cool noise, but it's not the way Mozart wrote music. Anyway, we're supposed to contrast this with all modern music, which is written with a keyboard, a computer and a sampler. And obviously there's no way you could use a sampler to replicate the sounds of an orchestra, even though that's the entire reason that instrument was invented. But the number of instruments in a piece of music, or even just the number of violas in a piece of music, is not actually what this study was studying when it was looking at timbre. What the study was looking at was a set of metadata splitting each song into individual beats or frames, and for each beat or frame creating an array of 12 real valued numbers, these numbers corresponding to the projection of the Fourier-based spectrotemporal representation of the frame's signal into a set of 12 bivariate bases, these bivariate bases corresponding then to high-level abstractions of the spectral surface ordered by degree of importance. I hope you got all that, because I don't want to have to read it out again. Meanwhile, Mr. 42 has just completely gone off on one. Check this out.
Well, what the researchers found is that the melodies, rhythms, and even the vocals of popular music have become more and more similar to each other since the 60s.
Absolutely none of that is true. The study says nothing about vocals, it says nothing about rhythm. And it doesn't say that melodic complexity has been dropping year on year since the 60s, it says it's been dropping since the 50s, and this data set only starts in the 50s, so for all we know, musical complexity could have been dropping every year since the 1850s. You might well think, well, surely that still means music is getting worse every year. And it doesn't, it just means it's getting simpler every year. It's pretty easy to prove that more complex music isn't better music. All you need to do is pause this video right now, go to another window and just Google free jazz, or technical metal, or maybe black MIDI. You might really like what you hear, but if you don't, you're quickly going to realise that melodic and harmonic complexity are best enjoyed in moderation. Now 42 does mention one other analysis in the video. It's based on looking at the lyric sheets for all the US chart toppers from 2005 to 2014. It suggests that the lyrics of these songs have steadily become simpler over that period. It doesn't say anything about the lyrics in the 60s, of course. I think we can just dismiss this idea out of hand. A clever lyric sheet may be nice, but it's an optional extra with a pop song. We all know loads of great pop music that operates just fine without any depth to its lyrics. And I'll give you just 3 examples here. Firstly, Hey Jude by the Beatles. Secondly, Gangnam Style by Psy, at least as far as anyone who isn't Korean is concerned. And thirdly, literally every metal song ever recorded. It's just dragons, all of it. Here's what I do like about this lyrical analysis though. What it does do is it does tell you exactly why the songs that were analysed were analysed. They were analysed because they're 10 years worth of US number ones. You might reasonably ask the same question of the Spanish Institute study. It's called Measuring the Evolution of Contemporary Western Popular Music. Here it is. You might ask, how did they choose the songs that went into that? How do they justify this selection of music as being representative of what was popular at the time? And the answer to that question is, they actually don't. The data for this study came from a thing called the Million Song Database, here that is, which came from a commercial company called the Echo Nest. The Echo Nest is a music intelligence platform, as they say on their website here. So this data set is basically a subset of the Echo Nest's metadata, which is being made available to academics so that they can simply muck about with the data and hopefully accidentally come up with a few new ideas for how the Echo Nest can make more money out of their data set. Now whatever, that's fine. The point here is that this dataset wasn't chosen to be representative in terms of its songs from the 60s, for example, that were popular in the 60s. It's chosen to be representative of the songs in the 60s which are popular now. Well, 2010 or so anyway. In order to claim that music was better in the 60s, you do have to be able to claim that
There is far more to this than simple nostalgia.
And that is a pretty tough claim to make when instead of looking at the songs that were most popular in the 60s, you're looking at the songs which are most popular in 2010 with people who are nostalgic for the 60s. Now, I'm going to quit my nitpicking at that point and just leave it here. And there are three reasons for that. The first is that a friend of mine has told me that they generally stop paying attention to these videos once you go past the 8-minute mark or so. And when you've got as many subscribers as I have on this channel, one of your mates is basically a quarter of your audience. The second reason is that the next chunk of 42's video that I want to critique is his discussion of loudness and compression and the loudness war, and frankly that would mean having to watch it again. And for me, the whole bit had this just feel of something that he just read about on Wikipedia yesterday. Basically, if you want to know about the loudness war, or if you want to know something about compression, just Google those things and look up literally anybody else's description of them. And the third reason is that I've actually been sitting on this video 3/4 finished for about 6 weeks now, and YouTube has just sent me a link to somebody else's response to this video. So at this point, I just want to finish this up and go and find out if this other bloke has written better jokes about it than I have. So, in conclusion, if you prefer the music of the 60s, that's fine. If you prefer the music of the 70s, the 80s, the 50s, the 40s, if you prefer 90s music, if you prefer modern music, if you prefer Baroque music, that's fine. It's fine. But it's all just some bloke's opinion or some lass's opinion. Argue about it if you want, but don't bring science into it. You're just bringing a bivariate Fourier analysis to a gunfight. And if you do, just bear in mind that this is the internet, and if you cite a study that doesn't say what you say it says, then some smart ass is going to point it out. The end. Like and subscribe and stuff if you think that'll help.